Hi everyone. So today's Sunday, which means it's the end of my first week on my new Ancestral diet. I've been a vegan for the last 6 years and I wasn't quite happy with where my health was at, so I'm trying to add some animal products back in under the guidance of a nutritionist, Dominic Rapson of Origins of Vitality Nutrition. I made a video last week just talking a little bit more about the background and why I've made the decision I have to try this, so I won't go into too much detail today. But I just want to talk about how my experience has been on this first week and what changes I've started to notice. So the week started really hard. It's definitely been a journey. I found just even preparing meat really challenging emotionally and mentally. The taste has been quite difficult. I found beef in particular has been a really tough taste to get used to. I'm definitely going to persevere and push through, and I'm sure that eventually my taste buds and my cravings and all of those senses will start to adapt to the new diet, but so far it's been really challenging. I think maybe the most challenging thing taste-wise and just to get my head around has been bone broth. I've been making bone broth every other day. I've been getting marrow bones from the butcher, putting them in the slow cooker for about 12 hours with a bit of salt and filtered water and drinking that every other day, and it's been unbelievably challenging. Like the taste has been really bad to me, and the smell is something I really struggle with. I just find that generally I feel a little bit nauseous after every cup, but again I'm going to keep persevering with that and I'm sure it'll get better over time. So the week started in terms of how I've been feeling with kind of experiencing what I'm told is the keto flu. I was feeling really heavy. My bones and my muscles just all felt really heavy. My joints were achy. I felt tired and a little bit unmotivated. And yeah, that was the first few days. It was a real hard slog, especially because I wasn't looking forward to any meal. Like none of it was enjoyable. I was just getting through and doing what I knew was what was on my plan. I was really grateful to have a set plan for those days because it took away any amount of thinking about what should I do, what should I not do. I just did the plan and that was really good. And then on Thursday, I don't know what to tell you. I had a day where I just felt superhuman. I don't even know how to describe it. I got up at 6 o'clock. I went and trained like I normally do in the morning. And instead of feeling really lethargic and drained after training, I felt amazing. Like I felt full of energy. I remember walking around thinking, is this how people feel? Is this what people feel like? Is this how I'm supposed to be feeling? Because it really was amazing. Even at about 8-9 o'clock, I was still just so full of energy. It was really something else, something I'm not used to. So I really hope that that's a sign of what's to come. Unfortunately, that night I didn't sleep well at all. I think there was a load of different factors involved there. I think I got a little bit excited about how good I was feeling, and I was really energized and maybe should have spent some of that energy a little better in the evening rather than just kind of letting it all build up. So I had a really poor night's sleep, woke up feeling a little bit groggy and a little bit down. But definitely the thing I noticed that shifted the most on Friday is that I was really starting to enjoy food and look forward to food. I'd been eating a lot of red meat, a lot of beef. I'd had some organ meat, some liver, like I say, the bone broth. I just wasn't enjoying it. I was having a hard time with it. But I noticed on Friday I felt really hungry and I ended up eating some spare ribs and bacon, and I felt really guilty about it, but I enjoyed it so much. Like everything about the experience was just immensely enjoyable. It really was a beautiful meal that I was really grateful for. I woke up on Saturday with a cold, so that I'm sure has kind of skewed the results a bit, and I wonder if I was even starting to get a little sick on the Thursday evening, which could have kind of contributed to some of the poor sleep. But I woke up on Saturday with pretty much a full-on cold, and it was mentally it was interesting because I actually haven't had a cold since December 2017, so it's been a really long time since I've been ill in that way. And I was just shocked by it. I was really surprised that I'd gotten sick, especially considering I'd been doing what I thought was making me feel so good and what's right for my body. But that said, I wouldn't be surprised if my immune systems and all of my systems, my whole body is just a bit surprised by everything that I've been doing. It's such a drastic change, and also has required so much mental energy this week. Everything I'm cooking, I'm having to learn how to cook because I've never really cooked fresh, good quality meat for myself. Even before I was a vegetarian, I was at that age very unhealthy. So to tell you a little bit about what I have been eating and what I have been doing this week, the idea behind this week, according to Dom, the nutritionist, is that we're trying to adapt my system. So rather than just kind of like diving straight in, which we have to some extent, but rather than diving straight in with a lot of food, it's rather than him giving me specific portions, it's been more around me eating as much as I feel comfortable with without making myself feel sick, without giving myself digestive problems. So realistically, if I think about it, I've probably been at least a little bit calorie restricted this week just because of how much I've been able to stomach. But I noticed that as the weeks built up, then the portions are just naturally growing and I'm naturally building up that appetite and that hunger for animal products. I started the week with some steak and some eggs, and I remember the first bite of the steak, I really enjoyed it. As much as there was definitely some guilt present with it, and I'd had my process that I was going through whilst I was preparing and getting ready to eat it, but the first bite was genuinely enjoyable. And I think by the third bite I was struggling. I felt really a bit nauseous. I felt really full even after just a few bites of food. It took me a little while to get through it, but we got through the first one. I think the other thing I've been experiencing is just a little bit of, I don't know whether you'd call it a hypochondria about undercooking meat. I think it's because it's so new to me that I've kind of just been like destroying everything to make sure that I don't make myself sick through undercooking. And again, that's kind of, that I've been playing with that a little bit as the week's gone on and kind of cooking things a little bit less and not charring everything so much. The eggs have been really enjoyable. Everything about my taste buds and my body when I'm eating eggs is just enjoying it, and I can feel like those are something that my body wants at the moment, or at least my brain seems to want at the moment. I had a day where I ate some organ meats, so I had some liver and along with some wild venison. I found the liver easier than I thought it would be from a taste perspective. I was really expecting it to be hard, but honestly I found it easier than the beef, and I felt very nourished afterwards. I've been having quite a bit of fish as well. Fish for me at the moment seems to be, it's not easy and it's not hard. It's not something I really enjoy, and I don't really have any massive aversion to it. It's just something I'm eating because I know the omega-3s are really good for me, and I know there's a load of other good stuff in there. I've been having a lot of mackerel, I've been having some trout, I've been having cod. Cod for me seems to be what I will divert to when I'm in a space where I just can't stomach the thought of red meat. Cod just seems so neutral and easy to me. I know cod doesn't have a lot of the fats that I need right now, but it's just, I think, good to get that energy in when I'm really not feeling up for getting it in another way. One thing that's been a kind of a constant throughout the whole week is something I forgot to mention in the first video, and I felt silly for not mentioning it because it really is one of the main things that I've been struggling with, is that I have gotten to a place with my vegan diet where I'm reacting strongly to almost everything I eat. And when I say reacting, I mean energy crashes post-meal, and also sometimes just feeling like a puffiness around my eyes, like a scratchiness in my eyes. It's almost like an allergic reaction. That seemed to happen whether it was a highly carbohydrate heavy meal, or whether it was literally just a bit of avocado and some celery or something. It just almost was every time I ate, I would have some kind of reaction. And that pretty much hasn't happened at all this week. I haven't noticed any real reaction in terms of the itchiness and the dry eyes. On my meal plans, one of the meals which I was allowed to try was cod, which is made in a homemade batter with egg white and coconut flour. And interestingly, about 30 minutes after eating that meal, I was the same symptoms I was talking about before. So I had itchy skin, I was tired, my eyes were really scratchy, and it was just incredibly noticeable because I hadn't been having those experiences for a little while. It really stood out like a sore thumb, and it was actually the first meal that I had cod. So at first my default thought was, oh, it must be the cod, but Dom told me to try again and that he thought it was the coconut flour. So I tried the exact same meal without the batter and was totally fine. So just really interesting that even that tiny amount of plant matter seemed to create a reaction in me. So probably the biggest reaction I've had this week was when one of my meals in the first week has some halloumi in it. And I think the idea behind having some of these different foods, like there's some double cream, there's some halloumi in my plan, and it's all just kind of to give me a break from all the meat right now and to give me something else to have. I really enjoyed the halloumi. It was a really tasty experience. It's something I used to love while I was vegetarian, so I kind of got a bit excited about it and was really looking forward to it. But it just made me so ill. Like, it was the exact same thing as with the coconut flour. I was itching all over, only worse. I felt absolutely just out of it. I felt like really a bit intoxicated and just not well. And the next day, my digestion was awful. So that's probably been the most negative experience I've had so far in the plan. And having talked to Dom about that, we're just leaving out dairy for now. It's just something that, obviously, there's something going on with my gut, whether it's intestinal permeability or something else. There's something about dairy that I'm not tolerating. The ghee seems to have been fine. I know that's dairy as well, but for whatever reason, I didn't have a problem with that. So I'm going to continue and just monitor the ghee and how it affects me. The only other plant matter I've had this week is I've been having avocado, which I haven't had much. And again, that's something that I'm allowed when I'm just not feeling the meat and I'm feeling like I need more fuel, but I just can't stomach any more meat. And honestly, for whatever reason, I usually really like avocado, but I've not been enjoying that this week either. I don't know if it's just all the fats, and maybe my body is craving carbohydrates because of what I've been used to. So just kind of going from one source of fat to another source of fat hasn't been enjoyable. So I think I've had 3 avocados in total this week. And I've had a bit of coconut oil. Dom says, at least for right now, that's totally fine on my plan. And so I've been cooking sometimes in coconut oil, sometimes I've been cooking in ghee, which has been interesting. I've actually quite enjoyed that and haven't seemed to have any kind of reaction to the ghee. I did buy some beef drippings, and my plan was to use that for a lot of my cooking, but I just have, for whatever reason, such an aversion to the smell. And I think the day I bought the beef drippings was the day after my first cup of bone broth, and I was just like, I can't do this. I took one smell of this beef dripping, so I can't do this. I cannot use this. The smell is so offensive to me for whatever reason. But I am going to try and work that in. I'm just kind of giving myself a bit of space around it. I'm giving myself, I'm pushing myself in a load of different areas, and I'm trying to not be too sensitive around it all. I'm really, as much as I do have my reservations, I'm trying to just park it all to one side and say, look, right now this is about my health, and I want to do the experiment I've laid out before myself. So I've been parking all my ethical and spiritual things that come up when I'm consuming animal products. And I'm absolutely going to face all of that stuff, and I'm really excited to learn and hear other viewpoints around all of that. But right now I know that that's a separate conversation to getting me feeling better, and that has to come first. But like I said, there are a few things where I've just been going a little easy on myself, and the beef dripping is one of them. I have noticed a little bit of post-meal heaviness, and particularly the first few days I was getting heavy post-meal, but now I'm actually at a point where I'm feeling energized after a meal. I feel energized and I feel a little more grounded. I feel like my thoughts are a little less scattered, and I'm a little more calm and collected post-meal rather than being just tired, which has been something amazing, like a really interesting experience. I still think it's too early to really give any real objective feedback, because I think I've had some really positive experiences. I've had some kind of negative experiences. I've had quite a few kind of digestive distresses. The lack of appetite has been really, really quite challenging, especially because I'm still training and I know that I need to fuel my body, and just not having any appetite or any amount of looking forward to a meal was really challenging, especially for those first few days. So in terms of my training, I tried to take things a little slow this week. I've only trained properly twice, and then other than that, just done a little bit of light mobility work and stuff like that. So I went to the gym on Tuesday, and I was right in the deep end of the keto flu, and I felt so slow. I did some light MMA kind of pad work and stuff like that. My cardio was terrible. I didn't feel like my heart was being worked very hard or like strained, but I felt like in just a round of pad work that my breathing was really, really labored, which is not something I'm used to, because I think cardiovascularly I'm quite well and quite fit for the most part. So that was interesting. I went back on Thursday, did kind of the same thing, just some MMA pad work and bag work and stuff like that. And it felt really, really good. I still didn't feel like my cardio was 100%, but just my clarity and speed was really good. I felt just in a good mood and up for it, and it was a really fun session. I did manage to pull something in my glute on Tuesday, which seems fine now, but that's just something that came up. I think I just honestly shouldn't have been training. I was trying to force it, and it wasn't the day to make it happen. I was in the middle of something and I needed to just be where I was. But yeah, lesson learned there. I'm looking forward to getting back into the gym next week, but I'll probably wait until this cold has shifted so I don't get anyone sick. But I'll just carry on doing a few things at home, some light stuff, maybe go for a little run or something. Just trying to be fairly lenient with myself right now in terms of the training that I'm doing, and give myself the time and the space that I need to adapt to this new way of eating before starting to push really hard again. I'm looking forward to week 2. I haven't been looking ahead too much, and that's kind of a purposeful decision I've made. I don't want to overwhelm myself. I don't want to look forward at week 2 and week 3 and think, oh, how am I going to do this when right now 150 grams of ribeye is kind of difficult. I've been just kind of posting after my last video, and some people were talking to me about electrolytes and how that can help with the keto flu, and that's something I need to read more about. I kind of wonder if the bone broth is filling that role for me, because there's obviously salt in the bone broth, but that's definitely something I'm going to look into. I do feel like I'm pretty much past the keto flu. I happen to have an actual cold right now, but I think that the whole keto flu heavy stuff seems to have mostly passed. And honestly, I feel right now, even with a cold, I have a little more energy than I did when I started the diet. I'm feeling really positive. It's been hard, it's still hard. I still feel guilt around every meal. but I know I need to work with it. I know I need to work on my relationship to food. I'm starting to come around to the idea that I'm just disconnected a bit from food, and that I need to live in reality a little more and just get closer to the reality of being human and the impact that that has on the world around me, and that kind of tied into my human being is animal suffering, whether it's through animals being killed while crops are being gathered, whether it's through hurting the environment through like monocrop agriculture. There is an element of violence in everything we consume. And I think sometimes I wonder, I don't think, because I'm at a point right now where I don't know, I'm still playing with all of this stuff in my head, but I wonder if eating meat just makes us confront that a little more directly, and that is something that I have been uncomfortable with in the past. But perhaps confronting this stuff directly is actually the healthier way to confront it, because at least it's honest, and at least it's visible. At least I'm aware, keenly aware every meal, the impact I'm having, and I'm keenly aware with every meal the energetic exchange that's taking place. There's some things life has ended so mine can continue, and I wonder if ultimately that's a healthier way to look at things. Yeah, like I say, these are just things that are floating around in my head right now. Please don't take any of this as gospel or any of this as a well-considered position. They're just ideas, and I'm honestly not spending too much time worrying about them right now. Right now I'm just doing the plan, trying to get my health together, and if this helps my health in the way I feel it's going to, then I can have a real long, hard look at my relationship to all of this stuff from an ethical standpoint, and just think about how I'm going to do this in a way that's sustainable, in a way that I'm happy with, and in a way that I feel is as least damaging to the world around me. So yeah, that's it. That's the first week. I feel positive. I feel full of cold, and I feel excited about what's going to come, and I feel really, really grateful. I just put the first video up this morning. I work all week, and I have my brother helping me edit these videos, and it's just taking us a little while to edit them. So I'm guessing they're going to come out pretty much dead on a week behind from I record them. So I've only had a few comments this morning, but the comments I have been so supportive for the most part, and I'm really, really grateful for it. I'm really grateful for everyone's support, everyone's understanding and compassion, and it's been great. It's really made me feel like I'm not alone, and particularly from some of the meat-eating crowd have been incredibly supportive, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm excited to see how this grows. And if you're coming back from last week, thanks so much for being here. If you haven't checked out last week, go and check it out. I was really, really nervous in the video, and it comes across, but I think it's some good context if you want to follow what I'm doing, and it really gives a bit more detail into what I was experiencing as a vegan and why I've decided to make these changes. So anyway, thanks for being here. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.